And so I was curious to find out what Jesus had to say about generosity. And he had some startling things to say about generosity, because I think, in my mind, I had some definitions coming in of what was generous, and Jesus had some very different ideas to David about what generosity was. I would think, back in those days, pre-course, back in BC, before course days, I would associate generosity with money. The philanthropists, the ones that had given tens of thousands of dollars, or we'll say millions of dollars, to charity or to fight disease, to fight cancer or heart disease, or given it towards alleviating poverty or alleviating hunger. Like, let's say people have given, we'll say, millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars to alleviate these problems. I think that's kind of generous. I would think that's kind of generous. David thought that was generous. But Jesus says in number 7, he says, no, generosity is actually the opposite of what generosity means in this world. And I think I had a pretty standard definition of generosity, of what most people have in this world. And Jesus says, no, it's not that, and it's actually the opposite of that. When he uses words like that, I'm like, could I be that far off? Opposite? I mean, come on, give me a chance. I mean, helping alleviate problems in the world and giving money to good causes, charities, opposite? What's that? He says, the teacher of God does not want anything that he cannot give away. What would he want it for? It's more that you have this quality in your heart, you have this love in your heart. And a lot of us have met people that are reflections of that. My grandmother was a good reflection of that for me. She hardly ever had money. She really wasn't a philanthropist. She was, she was very open-hearted and generous, and she would seem to give whatever she had. She really couldn't really save anything, because as far as saving money, because she was so extending of it, that she never had the time to build it up to give it away. It was so in the moment for her. When she was younger, she would open up her home, and people, her nieces and nephews, would come when they had difficulties with their parents. They would come to stay with her, because she was non-judgmental. She would just love them, take them into her house and just love them. Hug them and love them, and say, stay as long as you want. And I kind of laugh when I hear her stories of, all these nieces and nephews living in her house, because she was so open-hearted that she just was pulling people in. I mean, how can I help? What can I do? They would want to talk about their stuff. But a teacher of God does not want anything that he cannot give away. Now when you share money, or you share a physical possession, let's say money, a bank account, a house, a car, typical things people share in marriages. When you share a physical possession, Jesus says, you divide its ownership. If I had $1 million and I gave you half, if I gave you 500,000, then I would have 500,000 and you would have 500,000, and we would divide the ownership of that $1 million. We'd each have half, so we'd each have less. I would be giving you money and I would have less, and you would have more than you had. But we would both have less than $1 million. It's the same with the house. If I have a house and I say, I'll split, I'll put you on the deed. So now we share the house. We'll divide its ownership. You see how sharing and extending in monetary and physical ways, actually you divide the ownership. You actually, when you share it, you have less of it. You have less of it. You divide its ownership. Jesus says that's not how it works in heaven. It's not how it works in heaven. When you give miraculously, through the miracle, the giver and the receiver have more. Both. The giver and the receiver. Not the giver has less and the receiver has more, but the giver and the receiver. Whoa, you're going to have to teach me what that is, because that ain't nothing like on planet Earth. I've been 10 years of university, I studied economics and supply and demand and supply side economics, and I learned all the ways of the world. I could have gone on any kind of career I wanted, or after 10 years of university, there was lots of options to, people were telling me, you'd be really good in this and good in this, but I need help to see with the miracle where the giver and the receiver are both blessed and both have a sense of have more by giving. When you share an idea, you strengthen the idea, Jesus said. I strengthen the idea. By sharing ideas, I strengthen them. Okay, how do I do that? Well, you have to be a miracle worker. I'm going to speak through you, I'm going to shine through you, laugh through you, hug through you. I'm going to extend ideas, and as you allow me to extend ideas through you, you will strengthen them in awareness. If you become habitually miracle-minded, if you let me extend ideas through you, you'll be stronger in those ideas. And these ideas are very different from this world. Nothing we learned from Mom and Dad. Or maybe we did get a few ideas that were pretty, revelatory from Mom and Dad. I don't know your experience, but this is how it works. So what Jesus is saying, the teacher of God does not want anything that he cannot give away. What would he want it for? He could only lose because of it. To the extent that you can possess anything in this world, possess money, possess a partner, possess children, possess a house, possess a bank account, to the extent that you believe in possession, you are limiting your mind, because God didn't create possession. That's an egoic belief. And to the extent that you believe in it and live by it and keep extending these possession ideas, you strengthen the possession ideas in your mind. And to the extent that you open to the miracle, Jesus had a lot of different ideas than we saw on this planet. Like, freely you have received, now freely give. That's why I'm not into making money. Because what would I want it for? What good is a bunch of money going to do me, really? You can't take it with you. You don't get into heaven and say, oh, I've got good securities and good mutual funds and bonds, and you don't think that's going to get you in the pearly gates with your investment portfolio. Oh, it seems really practical in this world, but I'll tell you one thing, you're going to have to drop it when you come to the gates. You ain't even getting close to the gates with the idea of possession. Mine, like little children say, mine. When they first say that, we go, oh, it's so cute. No, it's not really cute. It's never been cute, and it could get you killed in the future if you stick with that my mentality. You'll be facing it.